I'm obsessed with your book trailer.
Yay!
I see it on Instagram. It's weird calling it cute because it's all black. Can you explain the vibe before we get into how you got the idea and creative and all the things?
So I am just a, old school little punk rock girl. So I've always loved black and, and kind of spookiness. But I really got the idea, doing that dark design from like European bookstores and more edgier kind of libraries that I've been in and bookshops. So I tried to like imitate that in my trailer.
And it's romance, right? You're niched in
Yes,
romance?
I'm exclusively romance, yeah.
Which makes it even more unique that it's black. You would
I know.
Like pink.
It's gonna be pink,
where
red.
People go.
Yes.
How long have you had it?
So we opened in July of last year. So it's gonna, coming up on a year.
Tell me about the idea to start this and then the execution. Because I've talked to a lot of independent bookstore owners on the podcast, but never somebody with a book trailer. And like I said, I am obsessed. So start from the beginning.
Okay. So I just got this idea. I saw a bunch of people converting trailers into like food shops and clothing boutiques, So I was like, you know what? I'm going to just try a trailer with a bookstore. So we bought the trailer. We didn't even have a truck. Like we had nothing. So we bought the trailer, built it out. It took probably about 4 weeks or so to kind of build everything out, paint. And we did everything from scratch, me and my husband. So it took a little bit.
When you say build it out, what does that mean? Where did you get the trailer? And then what does building it out look like?
So we bought a trailer used, just like off Facebook Market. This guy, it was one of those trailers that you see, like the enclosed trailers that are just white and there's nothing inside, it's all wood inside. So it looked like that when we first got it. And building it out means we had to build shelving, we had to paint, we had to make sure the inside, I guess, was safe enough for people to come in, inside of it. We had to do the floors. So it was a lot that we had to do. So about 4 weeks for all that.
And you guys just did it on your own? You were like, okay, how do we do this? Let me Google it. Let me get in there.
A lot of YouTubing, a lot of like just kind of doing research on how to do this stuff because we are not very much handy people at all. I'm a photographer full time and my husband's in tech. So we are not handy people at all.
Well, it looks amazing. So you build it out and then what happens?
And then so we had to do, inventory and stuff. That's kind of similar to like an independent bookstore. We do carry a lot less amount of inventory, lower amount, but we had to do inventory. And then we were just like, we did a soft opening about a week before our grand opening. And that's it. Like we just started popping up and selling books. It's been awesome.
So when it comes to inventory, do you buy in bulk from publishers like a bookstore would?
Yes. So I do publishers and I do direct. I carry a lot of indie titles. So I do direct to authors for that. But for the most part, it's pretty similar to like a normal, independent bookstore.
Day to day, where is the trailer parked? Like, where does it live?
In my driveway. In my driveway, in the back. Like, I had a babysitter come and she was doing like an interview for my kids, and she's like, "Oh my God, I didn't know you owned that!" Like, she was so excited because she saw it in our driveway.
And
so that's where it's at.
It's just locked with all the books inside?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I lock it up. I do take some of the inventory out. Like we started carrying candles and, that is not very temperature wise. I can't keep it into the truck. But for the most part, it's locked up, safe, and that's about it. And we just kind of travel to our next destination, set up, and, go back home once we're done.
How do you keep the books from falling off the shelves when you're driving? Do you have like
that was a little struggle. We ended up we thought it worked best with doing bungee cords, make sure everything's tight on the bottom 2 levels of our bookshelves. The rest I have been taking out of bins, especially if I'm traveling further. I just don't want anything to be damaged or anything like that.
Okay. So you have the trailer, you have the inventory. How do you decide and what are the logistics of where you go and what does a setup look like? I imagine I've seen your videos, you have a little a few steps to get up
Yes.
into the trailer. You open the doors and you have some things on the doors. So
Yes.
tell me about what the setup actually entails and then just the logistics of where to go, when to go, how to do all
Yeah.
that.
So that was the struggle part, is like figuring out where we're going to pop this thing up at. The first like month or so, I would just do like friends, brick and mortars that I knew. And I was like, hey, can I pop up there? Then we just started growing bigger and bigger, and people are contacting us now to pop up. So that's been awesome. We're grateful. Like, we have had to do no permits, no nothing. It's been kind of just with collaborations with other businesses or markets and stuff like that. Setup usually takes me about 40 minutes or so now. I've gotten it down. It used to take quite a bit longer, but now it's about 40 minutes because, yeah, we do have barn doors that open up. I got to put everything on there. We also have like, we sell merch, book mark stickers, tote bags. We sell a bunch of different like shelf decor. So all that has to be set up too, along with the books. But yeah, it's not too bad once you get in the, hang of it. But yeah, it took a while to get down to that 40-minute setup mark.
All your book merch, you just buy that wholesale?
Yeah, I do wholesale. Again, I try to do a lot of like smaller known brands. I do a lot of custom stuff as well. I make a lot of our, like all of our tote bags, I do make them, the designs, and then, just have a wholesaler print them off for me. But
I feel like this is a dream for people who want to open a bookstore but
Mhm.
don't want the headaches of like you said, permits. Like, I don't need to get a
Yes.
permit. Like, no, you don't, because you're not like a brick and mortar.
Yep,
It's so much easier to do, but I'm sure you have different challenges because
for sure.
you're in a different place all the time.
Mhm.
But like you said, people now recognize you and they see where you are, and then they're calling you and asking you, hey, can you bring the
The
slow
truck here.
burn?
Yeah.
It's called slow burn. Can
Yes.
you bring slow burn over here? How did you start growing?
So I feel like I said, when we first started, it was a lot of like business owners that I've already known from owning a business for so long, in the area. But then as we grew, it's just kind of making connections and networking with people, and, making sure our brands kind of like mesh together. Like, we do a lot of coffee shops, we do a lot of, cute little eateries and stuff like that. Breweries are a good one too to do for the book trailer, but just kind of making connections and just figuring out where to pop up, and who fits what and how many people are going to show up there. So that's just been the logistics. But I think it's been almost a year now, and I've gotten pretty good about feeling out which places are going to be good for clients and which ones are good for like relationships, which markets would be good for us. So just kind of trial and error, I feel like.
How much time do you spend
Mhm.
actually working with slow burn, like physically in a place? Because it's kind of like you can make your own schedule. Again,
It
not
is.
like a bookstore. You can decide
Yeah.
where you work.
It is definitely. So I do this part time. Like I said, I do full time photography. I also have 3 children. So, I have to kind of pop up what is convenient for me. But I feel like a normal pop up is usually about 4 hours. Sometimes we've done like longer days if it's a bigger market and we're going farther away. We've done maybe like 6 hours or something like that. But for the most part, yeah, it's about 4 hours, besides ordering inventory and, social media and marketing like that, upkeep on the website. Yeah, it's pretty chill. I feel like maybe I'd work 20 something hours a week or something like that.
Okay, so but that's getting out a
Mhm.
lot. That's getting out maybe like 4 or 5 times a week.
Not even. I do about once a week now, maybe twice a week sometimes.
Okay, very
Hmm.
cool. Do your kids, how old are your kids? Do they work the book truck?
No.
Not yet.
They're all little. So I have, well, my oldest, he's going to be 13 soon. So hopefully he can start working soon, but we'll see.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
two youngest ones are 4 and 3. So they are babies still.
What advice would you have for somebody who wants to start something like this, a book trailer where they have the flexibility, but
Mhm.
they still are like living their dream owning a bookstore?
Yeah. So I think definitely you have to love, but you have to be super passionate about reading and books and even customer service, talking with people. You got to be a people person to do this type of business. And yeah, I think just make sure you love it, because it's sure as hell not for the money, you know? So, and it's a lot of work for as much as you're receiving, you know? So I think you just have to really love it, and just going into that knowing.
You say it's sure as hell not for the money. All of the independent bookstore owners I've talked to, they say, I have to sell other stuff because the profit margin
For
on
sure.
books is like this big.
Yes.
So it makes even you are selling other stuff and you're not paying rent to anybody.
Yep.
You're still selling other stuff. So can
Yes.
you talk to me about the profit margins and how you are making money even though you are saving in expenses by having a trailer?
Yeah, yeah. I think like most independent bookstores, you have to be selling other things, because that's where you're gonna, make your profit from, most of it. For books, there's not much. I will say going directly to the author has been wonderful for me, because they give a lot more discounts rather than directly to the publishers. So that has been great, but mainly just selling other things.
I would not have guessed that you get a better discount going to
Yes,
authors.
yes.
Why is that?
I'm not sure, honestly. I'm not sure, because I feel like the normal average discount is about 40 to 50%. Authors that I've been working with are 60%, up to 50 to 60%. So I think I'm not sure why they do it like that, but I'm gonna keep buying from them.
Interesting. And you and why only romance? And what do people who stop by Slowburn say about that?
So romance, because I've been an avid romance reader since my son was a baby, so that's been almost 13 years. And that's just has my heart, romance and fantasy and sci-fi. I love that. So I just wanted to sell something I like. And my people who come in here, like it's not like you're just running across Slowburn. There are people that do just run across Slowburn and they're like, oh, this is awesome. But for the majority, people are finding us and been like, wow, a mobile romance book truck. Like, I love romance. So they already know what we sell, and happy to be here.
Outside of parking, like
Mhm.
outside of a business that
Yeah.
of the owner, when it comes to like these big markets or like a night where all the food trucks come to a certain area,
Mhm.
do you have to pay for a spot? Or
Yeah, so
okay.
it's kind of just like vending. Like, if you were going to, sell t-shirts or something at a market, you have to pay the same amount. Sometimes even more, because we are a trailer, we need more space for that. So that's why I've been kind of picky about the markets that we go to now, just because some of the fees are very high. And, you know, I guess our ideal client, they have to be going to that market in order for us to make any kind of money. So I've been pretty picky about where we're going with the markets. But yeah, it's really similar to a normal vending, event.
And how do you get? I'm assuming you have a truck that you pull the trailer
Yes.
to. Is that how you get
Yes.
around town? Okay.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
Any
we
electricity in Slowburn?
so as of right now, no.
You don't really need it, right?
Yeah, we don't really need it. I will say, since it's been getting colder, like over the winter, that was a struggle, it being cold in there, but also the sun setting at a different time. So it gets dark in there. So I've had to do lighting system that is not, a plug-in lighting. So that's been kind of difficult. I think this coming summer, though, we'll definitely be getting a generator, just because it's going to be a lot easier.
Is there anything that really surprised you when you started this business? Either a negative surprise or a happy surprise?
Um, I would say definitely like the profit margins when it comes to selling books. That was a huge surprise for me. I am not a retail, like, I've never owned a retail business. So a lot of that, like the percentage rate, the profit margins, that was a big shock to me. I was like, oh man. But a positive surprise is just how, like, I had no idea how big Slowburn, would have been. Like, I didn't think there was much of a romance reading community in my area as much, but it has been shocking just to see the community and the support, and like people coming out steadily to our events. I mean, it has been so awesome.
Slow burn is not a slow burn.
No. It was definitely not.
Do you credit social media to a lot of it? I mean, because that's how I found you. And you guys, I mean, you're a photographer, so now that tracks, that makes
Yeah.
sense. because you post some really cool stuff, and I've seen some news stories that have been done as well. So
Yes.
I'm sure that's all helped as well.
It has, yeah. I think social media has been one of the biggest, like, period. We've gone viral a few times on TikTok and Instagram, and I think that is really just, you know, gave us a platform for people to find us, you know.
What went viral? Was there anything like specific where you're like, oh, this is good, people are gonna like this, or is it just like
It is always, it is literally always the videos that you make in 5 seconds that had no meaning behind it, that had nothing to do with what you're trying. Like, those are always the videos that go viral.
Isn't that
Yeah,
weird?
makes no sense to me.
Isn't that weird? And you're like, oh, I have this great idea for a video. I'm gonna spend all this time doing it, and then you're like, oh, nobody cared about that.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. So I've just learned to kind of go with the flow. I think that I credit that though to my photography business. I do boudoir photography, so a lot of my work is shadow banned. A lot of my work is, you know, I'm not very marketable to the mass, you know, people on Instagram and TikTok. So I've just kind of, I'm going to post what I want, what I think looks cool. And if you think it looks cool too, then, you know, all fun. But I'm just going to keep posting what I like.
I feel like you need to do one of those photo shoots in the Slowburn trailer because that tracks. Like that is all relative.
Yes. They're like, oh, you're a boudoir. Okay, this makes so much sense.
Your two worlds coming together.
Yes, yes. Bookstores are coming back. Like a few years ago, they were not here. They were shutting down. They are coming back in full swing, especially romance right now. So I think if you're opening something like this, you have to set yourself apart. And I think that's why Slowburn probably has had a lot of success so far, is because we're different than the typical romance store that's out there, you know? So definitely just set yourself apart.
You're different in so many ways. One, you are niched in romance.
Yes.
Two, it's like dark and black, which is not what people would expect. And three, you're in a damn trailer. Like that's three different things that have you so unique, which is the coolest.
Yes, definitely niche down and figure out what you want to do and just go for it. Because the more, I feel like the more specific you are, like that's how you find your people. Because I swear every single person that comes into that trailer, they come back. They come back for the recs. They come back for the vibes. Like they support you so much because they gravitate, you know, they are your people.
I interviewed somebody on the podcast, the founder of Steamy Lit. It's a romance only bookstore in Deerfield Beach, and then also in Tampa. And I went into the bookstore because I'm like an hour from Deerfield Beach, and they have one shelf in there in the very back, and the sign above the shelf is "If you were dragged here," and that's where they put any books they have that are not romance.
I love that.
Isn't that funny? But they also have the really cool swag, all the bookish stuff, and then the Taylor Swift stuff, because for whatever reason, I'm a Swiftie. I feel like there's an overlap between people who read books and like Taylor Swift.
Definitely. Our shop again is different. I am not a Swiftie and we have zero Taylor Swift in our shop. But if that gravitates towards you, like those are my people. So that's what I'm saying. Set yourself apart and your people will find you. And I think that's super important opening any business, you know?
Okay, last question. What are you reading now? And what is the last best book you read?
So last like literally 6-star is going to be Blood Over Brighthaven by Emma Wong. It is a kind of like sci-fi fantasy type, a dark academia like fantasy. So beautiful. Oh my gosh, that was great. And then I am reading right now, I am reading The Arc of Entantra, which is the second part to Phantasma by Kaylee, I think her name's Kaylee Smith. That one comes out April 8th, and it is so good right now. I
just talked to somebody else on the podcast, and I always ask this question. Somebody else said that.
Yes, it was so good. If you like spooky, ghosty, if you like Draco Malfoy as a kid, like that's your world.
That's so funny. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
If Baltimore is your man, you will love this.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. Tonya, you're amazing. Thank you so much.
Yay, thanks so much.